Sea winter pressed hard against the windows of the small roadside diner in Cleveland. The glass fogged from the clash between freezing wind outside and the stubborn warmth of sizzling grills inside. Neon lights hummed softly, coffee machines hissed, plates clattered like percussion in an orchestra that never rested. Emily Parker moved in rhythm with it all. She tied her apron at exactly सुबह के 6 बजने में 2 मिनट बाकी, every shift, every day. Routine gave her steadiness. When life had shattered 2 years ago, routine stitched it back together. Wake up at 5:30. Pack Noah's lunch. Leave a note. Catch the bus. Smile, no matter what. It wasn't just discipline. It was survival. Noah sat in the corner booth with his small backpack beside him, feet dangling above the vinyl seat. His sneakers didn't quite touch the floor yet. He colored quietly in a second-hand activity book, peeking out in concentration. He never complained about being there. That was his habit. By noon, the diner was full. Construction workers in reflective jackets laughed loudly near the counter. 2 nurses in scrubs compared schedules by the window. A delivery driver argued gently over a missing side of coleslaw. Emily glided between them like someone who had memorized chaos. Refill, sweetheart. Coming right up. Yes, mom. Thank you, sir. Her voice stayed even. Always polite. Always calm. She had learned something important. When you can't control your circumstances, control your response. एक दिन के 12:17, the doorbell chimed. It wasn't a dramatic entrance. No gust of importance followed the man who stepped inside. He looked ordinary. Charcoal coat, dark jeans, clean but worn boots. His hair carried faint streaks of grey at the temples. He paused just inside the doorway, not scanning arrogantly, but observing quietly. He chose table 12. It was a small table by the window where sunlight occasionally reached on clear days. Today, it held only pale winter light. Emily grabbed a laminated menu and approached. Good afternoon, sir, she said warmly. How are you today? Better now, he replied with a faint smile. His voice was calm, measured. Burger and fries, black coffee, right away. As she turned toward the kitchen, she felt a small tug on her apron. Mom, Noah's voice was soft, careful. Is it okay if I'm hungry? The words hit her harder than if he had cried. She crouched beside him, brushing his hair back gently. I know, baby. I'm sorry. His lunch had been half a peanut butter sandwich and a banana she had divided into 2 portions, half for morning, half for later. Payday was Monday. Today was Friday. 3 days could feel like 3 miles when your wallet was empty. I can wait, Noah added quickly. I'm good at waiting. That nearly broke her. Because he had learned it too well. Emily stood slowly, blinking away the sting in her eyes. She picked up table 12's order when it was ready, burger stacked high, fries golden and overflowing. She placed it down carefully. Anything else I can get you? She asked. The man glanced toward the corner booth briefly. He had noticed the boy. No, thank you. She nodded and returned to the counter. 5 minutes passed, then 10. She glanced at Noah again. He wasn't complaining. He was drawing a rocket ship now. But she saw it, the way he swallowed hard when someone nearby bit into a sandwich. The way his small hand rested against his stomach. Her pride whispered, Don't ask. Her motherhood answered, Feed him. She wiped her hands on her apron and walked back to table 12. Sir, she began quietly. May I ask you something a little unusual? The man looked up fully this time. His eyes were sharp, not cold, but attentive. Of course. She inhaled slowly. My son is here with me today. We're just a little short until payday. I brought him lunch, but he's still hungry. Would you mind if he had some of your fries? Just a few. The words felt heavy leaving her mouth. Not because they were shameful, but because asking required vulnerability. The diner noise faded around them. The man didn't respond immediately. He studied her face, not for manipulation, not for theatrics. He saw none, only honesty. You were asking for him, he said. Yes, sir. Not for yourself. No. Her chin stayed lifted. No begging, no dramatics, just truth. He glanced toward Noah again. The boy quickly looked down at his drawing, pretending not to watch. The man slowly pushed the plate forward. You can take the whole thing. Her eyes widened. Oh no, sir, that's your meal. I'll order more. That's not necessary. Just a few. I insist. Something in his tone ended the argument, not forcefully, but firmly. She nodded gratefully. Thank you, truly. She carried the plate to Noah. His face transformed. Not greedy, not wild, just relieved. Say thank you, she whispered. Noah stood, walked carefully to table 12, and stopped beside the man. Thank you for sharing, he said clearly. The man crouched slightly, lowering himself to eye level. What's your name? Noah. Well, Noah, he replied, sharing works both ways. One day, you share with someone else. Noah nodded seriously. I will. Emily returned to her tables, but the man at table 12 didn't resume eating immediately. He watched. He noticed how she refilled water glasses before being asked. How she apologized sincerely for small delays. How she smiled even when one customer snapped at her for cold toast. He noticed how she broke one fry in half before handing it to Noah, saving some for later. He noticed she didn't eat a single one herself. Most people, he knew, asked from impulse. She asked from sacrifice. After finishing his coffee, the man requested the check. Emily handed it to him with her usual politeness. Thank you for your kindness, she added softly. He looked at her a moment longer. Kindness, he said thoughtfully, is rarely accidental. It's usually a habit. She didn't fully understand the weight of his words. He left quietly. No announcement, no business card, just a folded receipt on the table. The diner returned to its rhythm. It wasn't until the rush slowed and she cleared table 12 that she saw it. Her breath caught. Under the receipt was a tip so large her mind struggled to process it. Enough to cover rent, utilities, groceries, more. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the paper further. On the back, written in steady ink. Kindness as an investment, Dr. She pressed the receipt to her chest, tears finally falling freely. Across the street, seated inside a modest black sedan, Daniel Reed, the billionaire CEO few recognized without headlines, watched the diner through tinted glass. He had built companies in cities like New York City and expanded operations near San Francisco. He had negotiated contracts worth hundreds of millions. But today, the most powerful transaction he'd witnessed wasn't financial. It was a mother swallowing pride for her child. He leaned back slowly. Wealth, he believed, revealed character, but hardship did too. And in that small diner in Cleveland, he had seen something rare. A habit of quiet strength. Inside, Emily wiped her eyes, composed herself, and returned to work. Because even miracles didn't excuse responsibility. And tomorrow at subah ke 5:30 baje, she would wake up again. Pack a lunch, write a note, and practice kindness. Whether anyone was watching or not, she had folded and unfolded the receipt at least 20 times, checking to make sure the number hadn't magically changed. It hadn't. The tip was real. The bank confirmed it. Rent was paid. Groceries filled the fridge for the first time in months. But what unsettled her wasn't the money. It was the note. Kindness as an investment, Dr. Who was Dr.? By din ke siva 10 baje, the diner manager, Carl, stepped out of his office with an expression Emily had never seen before, half confusion, half panic. Emily, he called, adjusting his glasses. There's someone here asking for you. Her stomach tightened. For me. He says his name is Daniel Reed. The name meant nothing to her. But it meant everything to Carl. You don't know who that is. Carl whispered urgently. Reed Logistics. Warehouses. Shipping empire. They are expanding across the Midwest. Offices in Chicago, partnerships in New York City. He's a billionaire, Emily. The air seemed too thin. The man from table 12. No scuffed boots could hide that. She stepped outside slowly. A sleek black car idled near the curb. Not flashy, just powerful. The kind of car that didn't need to prove anything. Daniel Reed stepped out as she approached. He looked exactly the same, calm, observant, ordinary in a way that now felt extraordinary. M.S. Parker, he greeted. Sir, she struggled forwards. I didn't realize. That's the point, he interrupted gently. Most people act differently when they know. She exhaled. I hope I didn't offend you that day. You didn't, he said. You did something most people wouldn't. She frowned slightly. Asked for fries. No, he corrected. You asked without losing your dignity. There was no arrogance in his tone. Only clarity. I grew up poor, Daniel continued. My mother worked 2 jobs. One afternoon, she asked a stranger for help feeding me. That stranger changed our trajectory. Emily felt her throat tighten. I built my company on one principle, he said. Habits determine destiny. I observe people before I invest in them. Character compounds, just like money. He reached into his coat and handed her a folder. Inside was a proposal. The Reed Foundation for Working Families. Community Outreach Director position. Full training provided. Health benefits. Childcare support. Salary triple her current income. She stared at the paper as if it might disappear. You barely know me, she whispered. I know enough, Daniel replied. You work without complaint. You sacrifice without drama. You raise your son with respect. Those are habits, not performances. Her eyes filled again, but she stood steady. I don't want charity, she said quietly. A small smile crossed his face. Good. Because this isn't charity. It's responsibility. I don't give handouts. I invest in people who multiply what they receive. Noah suddenly pushed open the diner door and ran toward her. Mom, Mr. Fry Guy. Daniel laughed softly. That's accurate. Noah stood in front of him proudly. I shared my cookies yesterday, Noah announced. Like you said. Daniel knelt again to meet his eyes. Good. That's how it works. He stood, then looked back at Emily. I'm expanding community offices soon. We'll start here in Cleveland. Later in Chicago. Eventually beyond. I need someone who understands struggle, but chooses kindness anyway. The wind brushed past them. This was bigger than a job offer. It was a turning point. Emily hesitated, not from fear of success, but fear of change. What if I fail? She asked honestly. Daniel's response was immediate. You won't. Because your success isn't built on talent alone. It's built on habit. And habits don't collapse under pressure. Silence stretched between them. Then she nodded. Yes. The word felt like stepping onto a bridge she couldn't fully see, but trusted anyway. 3 months later, the new office overlooked downtown Cleveland's skyline. Not glamorous, but hopeful. Emily now sat behind her desk instead of balancing trays. She met single parents daily. She helped them apply for job training. She organized childcare rotations. She connected families to food programs. And every single time someone apologized for asking for help, she told them, there's no shame in feeding your child. Her habit of kindness had multiplied. One afternoon, Daniel visited the office. He watched quietly as Emily spoke with a nervous father who had just lost his job. She didn't talk down to him. She didn't rush him. She listened. Daniel felt something rare, certainty. When she noticed him, she approached with confidence, not intimidation. You were right, she said. About what? Kindness grows. He nodded. Only when practiced daily. Noah, now enrolled in a private elementary school supported by the foundation, ran into the office after school. Mom, guess what? I'm starting a sharing club. Daniel raised an eyebrow. A sharing club. Yeah, if someone forgets lunch, we split ours. Daniel laughed, a deep, genuine laugh. There it was. Compounding interest. Not in dollars. In character. As Daniel prepared to leave, he looked once more at the busy office, the phones ringing, parents filling out forms, hope replacing desperation. All because of a simple question in a diner. Can we share your fries, sir? Back in his car, heading toward a flight to San Francisco, Daniel reflected. Companies scale, wealth scales, but impact begins with habit. And sometimes, all it takes to change a life is the courage to ask.